Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed!
I didn't play a lot of bad games this year, but what I did play, though, were a lot of games that I was not expecting to be really disappointing, at least in my eyes. Games that I anticipated so highly, but when I played them, I was like, ugh, I'm not feeling it. There's a lot of things that factor into disappointment, in terms of video games. Is it too short? Is there not enough content? Is it too long? Does the pacing suck? Does the story blow? Is it a buggy, broken mess at launch? You know what game I'm talking about. And, ultimately, is the game direction that they took it, worse than it was? Or is it a live service grind? 2020 was no stranger to disappointments, and unfortunately, it kind of seeped over to the gaming side. And here are just 5 of the most disappointing games that I've played this year. Number 5, Panzer Dragoon Remake? Color me excited, but when I play this, it just doesn't feel like one. It looks the remake part, but looks only drive me as far as to say it's more of an HD remaster. Which isn't a bad thing, especially for the select few like myself who actually grew up with a Sega Saturn. The nostalgia is there, especially the music. The problem is, they want $25 for a 1 hour long rail shooter. Granted, the original was $50, and even way more now if you want to eBay off a complete Saturn copy for your collection, but in this day and age, there are simply way better and more substantial products that are even cheaper than this coat of paint. It's not a bad game by any means, but this is definitely the MGS Ground Zeroes of the year. It's fine, especially for those who grew up with it, but just wait for a sale. Number 4, The Last of Us Part 2. This is perhaps the most controversial entry on this list, seeing as how many people just love it enough to call it their game of the year. Look, I always give credit where it's due. The gunplay, graphics, animations, sound design, and acting are all top-notch quality aspects in The Last of Us 2. But what made the original so highly regarded in the first place just isn't here, and that's the story. This is a tired cliche that shows us revenge is never worth it. Yeah, as if it was okay to kill hundreds, if not thousands, of men, women, and dogs, but it's not okay to kill the one fucking person who drove you down that violent bloodbath to begin with. The biggest kick in the pants, though, is how it expects us to feel bad for all this killing when the game doesn't allow its player to do anything but, giving this moral message no real purpose or of being there. It's just hard to regret things you had to do. And the pacing of the game is especially dreadful. It feels like 8 hours too long, and characters just get killed off either too fast or without any real context or reasoning leading up to that event. As a lot of people have said before, it's not the how that should matter, it's the why. Especially in a game that's all about revenge. When Joel died, it was not a fair death, but it wasn't even sad either, it was just dumb. Joel's dead. Number 3, Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Resistance. Because they're both one and the same heavily flawed purchase packaged together. Probably the only reason why this is even on this list is because of how much Resistance blows. Seriously, they sacrificed development time for the main game for this? See, when I look at Resident Evil 3, what I see here is one half a campaign that is only about 5 hours long, and frustrating as hell instead of scary, all thanks to Nemesis, and a multiplayer that simply sucks, for 60. What they could have done is have us Resident Evil fans pay $30 for a single player that isn't even half as long as 2, and then give people who just like the asymmetric multiplayer crap the other for the same price. instead of expecting everyone to be interested in both in order to get their hard-earned money's worth. Heavily cut content from the story, and a piss-poor implemented multiplayer mode. As someone who only cared for the single-player half, this felt more like an expansion than it did a full-price release. Number 1. The Avengers. Wow. What the hell were they thinking? This game looked amazing when it was first announced. How they could take our favorite Marvel superheroes and turn them into a Black Widow who can't break windows, a Captain America who can't hack a terminal, and a Hulk whose fingers are too big to press buttons. Really? You gonna restrict certain areas to exclusive characters? How the fuck was I supposed to know who to play as? What kind of bullshit laugh-in-your-face trick is this?
What trickery is this?
But that's only a minor inconvenience compared to the big problems this game faces. It's ultimately just another boring, generic, bland, live service grind fest that drives me insane the more I play it. Combined with a huge number of bugs and player drop-off, I'm pretty sure most of us can all agree that the Avengers is the most disappointing game of 2020. Oh, Hulk sad. There's actually one game that almost made this list, and the reason why I didn't include it is because it's been a while since I played it, and I'm not sure how much they improved on it, but Wasteland 3 had a really buggy, broken launch. Maybe not nearly as bad as Cyberpunk 2077, but it definitely crashed a lot. The worst I've ever seen a game crash. Hopefully it's a lot better now, though. So yeah. I also heard Call of Duty Cold War was really disappointing. And that sucks because I was actually kind of looking forward to it. I actually kind of enjoyed the beta. I know a lot of people didn't really care for it, but if it only has like a 3-hour long campaign and the multiplayer has really bad lag or whatever, then yeah, fuck that game. Especially for $70. Like, really, Activision, you're gonna charge us an extra $10 for slightly better stability on, the newer consoles. But yeah, man. I'm glad that I didn't have to make a top 5 worst games. But on the other hand, disappointing is not much better, It's more heartbreaking. Playing the game that you hyped yourself up for, but just wasn't all that great. Well, that's the last disappointment 2020 is going to offer because we're done. We're done with the whole year. Hopefully 2021 is better. Can't imagine it being much worse. But that's what I said about last year, so strap on, everyone.
The gamer gods. Disappointed! Disappointed!